Go ahead, I'm ready.
Here we go. All right.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Recognizing a quorum, the chair opens the December 8th meeting of the Community Housing Committee.
Myra
This-
on the,
Pardon?
By roll call vote, that's all.
we have to do a.
No,
roll
I'm going to
call.
do, I'm not done.
Sorry.
This meeting is being live broadcast and recorded. We'll do a roll call to verify attendance. Myra?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Greg?
Here.
Drew?
Here.
John? Here. Deirdre?
Here.
Lee?
Here.
First order of business is minutes.
Yep, so, we have a new director for our department, and they've actually hired somebody to help with minutes. So, after, there's a set of minutes for the Community and Economic Development Committee, and once those are done, they'll start working on these ones, because they're recorded, so they can just,
Okay.
yep. So there's hope.
Good news. Old business, Habitat for Humanity neighborhood at 1121 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Update and discussion?
Yeah, I think the only update is, and I think you might all know this, the Board of Selectmen voted to sign the LIP application, and so didn't this committee. So our part is done, we've signed it, we've reviewed everything, we've signed everything. And now Habitat needs to send that up to the state to get a site visit scheduled, and hopefully the state will issue the project of eligibility letter, which will allow Habitat to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals and apply for a comprehensive Chapter 40B permit.
So we're done.
And we're done. We're done. I'll keep you in the loop in case you want to join the site visit. The state likes, to have the members of the committees come and just kind of chit-chat on the site. And it's a good way to touch base with them.
All right. Matakees Utilization Project, 400 Higgins Crow Road, West Yarmouth, update and discussion.
Yep, so you have some correspondence
Yeah.
between a local resident and the chair, Sharon Weimer, who's here today. That's kind of a good summary about the Matakees Utilization Committee, often referred to as MUC. There's the charge, and kind of it shows how important that kind of information is, because the Yarmouth resident kind of, because they understand the project more, they're more amenable to certain things being at the site, so.
And Sharon, I thought your response was perfect.
Very nice.
I appreciate that you're including it so that hopefully other people might see it. It kind of is an argument to me. You guys have been great through the whole process, and it's not a finished process by any stretch. And the select board will be deciding, so, but I just thought it required a longer answer, which I got a lot of comments about it being long, but I just wanted to make sure that she understood everything that I understood. And not that it's correct all the time, but I appreciate you putting it in your minutes, Mary. Yeah,
No, I thought it was very well done.
thank you.
Yeah, and I agree. It is long, but you have to get everything in there. Otherwise, people just are going to see what they want to see and not delve into the details. And I thought that was very detailed and very well done.
And I commend the Cape Cod Commission too, because they certainly have had these statistics for people to see, but sometimes it's hard to dig those out or wanting to dig those out, so.
Well, if I might add, what people need to understand is we're looking for mixed housing as well as some home ownership. And mixed housing is a good way to go.
Right. And they are talking about market rent too, in terms of
The
Matakees.
mixed housing, some affordable and some market rate,
Right.
which gives you a mixture within the, if we do a development, and home ownership is something different. So,
But eventually gets is out of control except for the select board to decide, so.
Right. And what is the timeline for that? Is there a
Well,
timeline?
they are gonna, the scope of our committee changed back in March
Okay,
in terms of the 7 phases. So 6 and 7 became out of our interests, so to speak, I guess. Not necessarily out of our interests, but
or your domain, sort of,
so they got a grant for $200,000 to help them with the process of finding financial information. So that's what will be
the
going
select
on.
board?
Well, the select board accepts the grant, and it's designated to
Okay,
the administration to do that. So the staff and the upper level staff is going to be doing that with that money in terms of seeking information, in terms of marketing probably, and what the town needs and what it might garner in terms of income, et cetera, that would help them decide what and how much goes into this site. So there's a number of things. I found it interesting because it offers so much information, the process that we went through. So I was glad to be involved with it because I learned a lot. And, and some of what I learned isn't always necessarily good news to hear for certain committees maybe. But you just keep moving forward. And we always wanted to hear from the public. That was a goal of ours to begin with. And doing the survey was helpful. A lot of good things that we're passing on, and delighted to have done it, so.
So, in the select board's packet, maybe 2 meetings ago, maybe the last meeting, there was some more information about that grant. I think it's a mass development grant. I'll pull that out for you guys. I'll just email it to you.
Thank you.
Yeah,
That'd be great.
That'll be really
yeah.
helpful to me.
Page 137 through 140, December 2nd packet.
Thank you.
Wow.
She's been studying.
And I don't know how many people on the committee were either attended or watched the video of your meeting with the select board, which I thought went pretty well, all in all. Did everybody get a chance to see that?
I didn't see it.
I'll send that link out.
Yeah.
You have to listen very carefully and follow along, because sometimes people are talking about a certain drawing that's being shown, and sometimes they're talking about everything in general. So once in a while, it was like, what are they talking? Oh, they're just talking about that specific bubble diagram,
Yeah.
right? But who was there with me? I was there. Drew, you were there.
I was there? I
Yeah.
can't, see, I can't recall the
We were in.
details.
We were in the back.
I remember greeting you.
We
and
were
I
in
remember
the
talking
back,
to you now.
and one of
It's
the
coming back to me now,
Then you
yeah.
took a nap?
Heard to you folks being in the back of the room and
right.
being housing
Somebody
people.
said it looks like the housing people agree. They're all nodding. We were all
Yeah.
in the
I
back.
Now it's coming back to me.
Right.
yeah.
We weren't speaking because we didn't have the mic near us or anything.
I
but
can
we were
see
like,
it now.
yes.
I'm glad you
Well,
reminded me.
I mean, it seemed like the housing component was going to be somewhere around 70 units. There,
I specifically, they were looking at our presentation, which had the moderate and the elevated.
yeah,
So one member spoke of the smaller amount, and so that was 60. Roughly
Right.
62 or whatever, but, and then some specifically mentioned the 60-ish area.
right.
And I think it depends on where the financials take everybody. And I would say there was one thing that was disappointing to me was not seeing all the lots up Chickadee Lane.
Yeah,
And I think they could work on that, my personal opinion, because I think that could either be, as we talked about before, either money to help, or it could be, hey, let's control this and do our own houses. I'm still big on that.
Well, I think it would also be a nice buffer for the existing neighborhood
Right.
between their side of the road and where the main part of the project is going.
Well, could I just
Still on
clarify? I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
We were talking about affordable housing near Chickadee. And that would be, I would think, compatible with home ownership properties on the next road, so,
Well, that's just one scenario.
Okay.
So, so we're giving them 3 scenarios. So, and part of, we believe that a school is needed for the students of the town.
yeah, we know.
So we certainly are, and that's changed, because originally it was going to take like 20 acres based on what we had to begin with. But we changed it as a result, I think it was Bob who recommended doing that, was to flip the 6 to 8 acres right on the Emmy Small School.
Okay.
So we're saying you can have this. We haven't told them how they're gonna do it, but they can have that to build a new school. And then it was talked about in terms of housing, depending on the scenario, flipping from your original request of being up towards, I call it the top, to where if the school isn't taking the land, to then come down to where the school is. So that's not a decided thing. That's just offering options to location. And again, the select board will pick it. I have my own views, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything in this scenario, but, so.
But it seemed like everybody on the select board was supportive of the idea of housing on that parcel
Right,
in some way, shape, or form.
right. And so the question is, what housing? And,
Well, that's a
some
whole-
of my committee members were talking about housing on Chickadee Lane. And that's all they were talking about. So,
You mean bordering with Chickadee Lane, not,
right,
okay, yeah, good.
so it's an interesting process.
Right, so the mass development grant really opens it up to doing like market studies to see what type of private-public partnerships there are for something like a recreational, a competitive recreational facility, that kind of stuff. But it also allows you to outreach to companies that might be able to do the whole site. You know what I mean?
One company.
Yeah. So think about that. Like if you have a public-private relationship, right, partnership, and you say, okay, yep, you get to do this, 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 and this, and we also want you to build the housing, right? Done.
Well, one of the things we were aiming for is if we did some home ownership housing
Yeah,
to partner with Habitat, because we know they do a good job.
Right.
We know that they carefully, they monitor
yeah.
their residents and they work on the units and all that, so,
But that's, private companies partner with Habitat all the time.
Okay.
That's definitely
that
doable.
wouldn't rule that out then.
That's doable.
So when you say a private company, you mean like an umbrella company that
So
has, that
who's
can
the
do all
biggest
these different
construction
things?
company on the Cape? I always think of Scanlon, right?
You think of
Who?
Scanlon, isn't it? Scanlon that does all the schools. You know, like if you had a big company that does larger development, well, they typically have a commercial side and a residential side.
Okay.
You know, so they might have the capacity to do everything we want at the site. You know, the challenge, the challenge of sticking to the bubbles with respect to the developers, right? You're now, you have different developers involved and, you know, it's a brilliant idea to try to get one group that can do it all.
Can do it all.
That's interesting.
And that mass development grant, that's the genius behind it. It attracts that kind of attention. So,
So that is, I think that'd be the way to go. I mean, that cuts
Doesn't
red
that make
tape.
sense?
It cuts, different developers kind
Yeah.
of fighting over, no, we need this, we need that.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
that's
very
fascinating.
interesting,
This came up at the meeting?
yeah, a little bit.
You have to listen.
Okay.
You have to listen
And
very
you have the link,
carefully.
Mary?
Yeah,
Okay, great. Thank you.
so there'll be a
I
link
don't
to
know
a
that the
meeting.
school would be in, yeah, I guess somebody like what you're suggesting, I don't know the
Oh, the
developers.
school would have to be different, because that's
Different
all,
Because it is small,
that's,
Well, you just said Scanlon built schools.
they do schools, but
Yeah.
they're like I'm thinking, what are the
Bid for it and get it themselves in a separate.
biggest companies? Yeah.
Understood, okay.
Like, I don't know who builds, like, if you had a recreational facility, a large recreational facility, I don't know who builds those. But those companies, they can be big enough that they have the residential and the commercial side to them.
And if it was a school, they couldn't handle it, they would sub it out, but they would handle it.
Usually the schools are very,
School would be subject to state mandates and
Yeah.
all kinds of
Very
different
strict
things. So
things, yeah.
that parcel, I'm assuming, would just be cut out and passed off to
that I can see that being
whoever is.
cut out.
Whole separate process through the
It
DY
is.
schools. and
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
it has to be.
Yeah,
This is,
but,
And there is a meeting coming up too, that they're trying to learn from the Cape Cod Chamber Director, the Yarmouth Chamber Director. We had them at one of our meetings and talked, and they were talking about getting a small grant themselves to do a replacement or upgrade a 2014 study that they did. It was a marketing study in terms of how to help out hotels and that kind of thing. So they may be doing that separately too, the chambers to help for the Yarmouth businesses.
right.
And then there's a meeting with those chambers to see if, and we've submitted questions to them, both the administration and myself in terms of the muck, to see if we can gather some additional information from them that might help that phase going forward, that 6 and 7. So it's still sort of an ongoing thing and learning, and trying to keep the recreation part up in front, because they've been so successful in using the gym for themselves in their own programs. So it's a lot of different aspects to it, and hopefully they can all learn and decide and be happy together.
So what's the next step for the committee?
The committee is to participate in this. I went to a work session on the short-term rental, and Mary ran for you guys, so I want to take that back to my committee, see if there are any thoughts that our committee might have about it. And just to be knowledgeable about it so that we have input in terms of the scenarios that we're trying to get done. And also, we are scheduled to also meet with the public again if that stays the same in terms of presenting those site plans that would develop by then. So, and see what kind of feedback we might get from the public too, which always includes neighbors. And
Okay. Anything else?
I just want to put on the record, I do remember being at that meeting. We've discussed it. I'm talking to both of you over there. But as for the elementary school, a new building needs to be built. This building is no good anymore, the ME Small building. But my impression is it's still truly up in the air as to whether it would be on that site or maybe down on Station Avenue, right?
that's the kind of the unsettling thing for
Yeah.
Muck to really fully move forward, and the select board from
Right.
moving forward in terms of real definition of where everything would go. And they are just starting in January their feasibility study, which would identify where they want to be. And we're allowing them to say, you have a space here, if this is the space you want. Originally, the school committee, before, when they had a prior superintendent, wanted everybody to be over on Station Ave.
Right.
And so there's always been that traffic thing with Station Ave.
Mm-hmm.
So whether that can get solved by maybe doing additional exit road somewhere on the property in a different
I see.
direction?
That would be a
What
big part of
land
the
they might
feasibility.
have for there. I think there is a
determination, huh?
concerning part about the town meeting that
Yeah,
occurred.
that's right.
Because they included 3 things instead of the 2 things that we've always seen, which was that it's not decided that renovation is totally out of the whack, but I think the building is so gone that there won't be any really big discussion about that, but they officially have to go through that process.
Yeah.
And the question will be, the added thing that was in the town meeting was trying to allude to the fact of joining the Station Ave Elementary School with the Emmy School and find another location to build a whole new school for the 2 schools. And I think that was a shock,
Right.
really, for a number of people at the meeting. So that may be something that needs to be talked about. And I'm telling you everything that I know, so I'm not sure that's a good thing or not, but, so there are some real problems with trying to iron out the school part, but it will just take time. And so that does affect scenarios, and
And that study is to begin the first, in January, but it probably won't be done until,
oh, it's scheduled for a year,
yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So that
We're
has.
talking about Muck,
Hi, Mark.
member of the public.
Are you all mucked out?
Yeah, we're all mucked out.
I was just telling them about the openness of a 3rd thing at the town meeting for the schools, which was including somehow the combination of Station Ave and Emmy Small as a separate thing. I just mentioned that that was a concern for people. That may be coming up.
Again, yes.
Can I just ask for clarification? The elementary school is not a DY school, is that correct? It's just Yarmouth?
Well, it's under the curriculum and everything, it's a regional school district that all schools, even Dennis's elementary schools, are all under the curriculum and
Okay,
all of that, you know, the leadership, the principals and staff, they're all.
In the financial umbrella.
and
under the
financial-
financial, but Dennis has its own elementary school, is that correct?
And Dennis pays for that school,
Right.
just as Yarmouth pays for the Emmy
Right.
Small School.
Yeah.
But the towns have engaged the school district
Okay.
to manage, to handle management, hiring teachers and all that business. So it's part of a unified system, but as has been said, the financing is pretty much defined as our responsibility.
Okay.
And so I think, and this, the same situation is for Dennis. And we'll see how that arrangement works down the road.
Yeah. So they were very nice to include the letters of a public person that indicated they didn't think the site would be a place for housing. And so I wrote a long letter to her, so that's included, as I wanted to thank them. I thought that was nice of them to include that, so.
And then I'm going to send the link of the meeting that the select board had with Muck to all the members of the housing committee, and that nice packet of information from Mass Development about that grant that is probably going to be used for this site. So that way, the housing committee will be all up to date.
I think the twist in all of this that you were speaking to is, in the school feasibility study, they laid out a scope that the state had signed off on. And one of the items is a twist for the MUC, and that is to look at, and it may not be, but they want us to look at replacing the Marguerite Small School there at the site, or having a combination Station Ave small redo together at Station Ave, or at another site. So the question for MUC is going to be is if that site is appropriate for that combined, is there enough square footage there to accommodate that? And it's a little bit too early to know that now, but that's a question that's at some point is going to have to be addressed. And so what it may do conceivably, and again, as you're probably aware, a lot of these school building projects are dictated by, regulations and criteria from the state, what kind of impact that will have on the acreage and the square footage, and how that impacts, we just won't know.
What we also offer our community, so, yeah.
That's my,
And whistle.
yeah, sorry about that. So.
I don't know if you had any other questions, but this is the gentleman to ask. He is involved.
This is the quietest I've seen this group in a long time.
I'm like, what exactly are they thinking?
I have never seen you this quiet. Usually it's
Our strategy.
full of enthusiasm.
It's an exciting project. It has a lot of potential for the town, so.
Yeah, I don't have anything else. Any other
I'm good, yeah.
committee members have anything? Okay, we'll move on to proposed Chapter 40B development at 897 Route 28, South Yarmouth. Update and discussion. Mary included a copy of the permit application being rescinded, I guess.
Yeah, it's a letter from the project proponent withdrawing the comprehensive permit application for 897 Route 28. Good job, I think being upfront and honest as to what the town wanted at the site really helped them make the decision that Chapter 40B was not the permitting mechanism, the preferred permitting mechanism. And in their letter, they are stating that they want to use a local zoning bylaw, the Village Center Overlay District, VC3.
That was
So,
a document they couldn't open
yeah,
for some reason.
so that
So
is,
isn't-
that's great.
Isn't that, 40B allows you to skip
Yep,
a
waive
number
zoning
of-
requirements, yeah.
approvals, so aren't they walking into a process that's going to have more oversight?
It'll definitely have architectural control and site design control by the town. It could have almost comparable density. It won't have the density that they wanted, but it's not a huge reduction in density. And they'll get more support from the town for it.
It seems to me they thought they were just gonna come in and bulldoze and do whatever they wanted. I mean, there was just no green space, there was no
Right, right.
parking, it was
Right.
just a,
So we'll get our playground. We'll get the architectural site design standards, we'll get the site design, it'll be a much better development. It'll, hopefully have a piece of commercial on it, and it'll use local zoning, which actually I think they will find is simpler than Chapter 40B, because you don't have that whole state review, and you don't have that expensive cost certification at the end. There's no limits to the amount of profit they can make on this.
But you do have density review and architectural standards and things that one of their letters went into as not something that they thought that it was an overreach for the town in 40B.
Under Chapter 40B, yes, it is. But under the local zoning bylaw, it's required. So if you want to do a village center overlay district project, you have to surrender to the architectural standards and the site design standards. And they're not, they were going towards that way. When you look at their initial plans and the subsequent plans, they were already going towards that way. And this, I think, puts them in a better chance to get, I think they need some type of recommendation for some type of energy tax credit. They need the town to support that bit of financing. And using local zoning will definitely help them out with that. So that's exciting. So, it really shows that Yarmouth has done all that hard work up front, right? The zoning and all of that stuff, our architectural standards, our site design standards, and our affordable housing standards. So it's easy when a project comes in, we just compare it to them, and right away, we knew the project needed some improvements, so.
Well, it was very helpful, I thought, your letter and the committee's letter to the zoning board of appeals.
Right.
And then the planning board followed, and also was the board of selectmen, too.
Yeah.
And so all of you participated, and I thought your lead, Mary, was.
Well, yeah, I got some help from upstairs.
They
And-
certainly
yeah.
did complain about the overreach of all those letters.
Yeah,
but
they did.
that's Good, we were doing our job.
But they withdrew, so. And, I hope when they're ready, to come back, they come back and we have meetings at the staff level and then committee meetings, et cetera. So I think they'll be happy with the final product.
Okay.
Hi, Bob.
New business.
None.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. Reports and actions, chair's report, I don't have anything, home consortium.
The, excuse me. The December's home consortium meeting was canceled due to a lack of agenda. And then I found out this afternoon that January's was also canceled for lack of an agenda. So the next meeting will be, December's, which was supposed to be this week. The next one will be in January. I did discover this morning, however, that the Barnstable County, not the Home Consortium Committee, but Barnstable County, didn't say where in the, who in the report, but that they had selected Barrett Planning to continue the shared regional housing program. And that 13 of the 15 towns on the Cape have elected to stay on with that, so. Mary, I'm assuming we're one of them.
Yes, and it was great because the cost in the contract was $9,000. So,
Because so many towns.
because so many towns subscribed, so it was almost half of what we first thought it was gonna be, so that's great. And we get, with that, every other Tuesday, we meet, all the affordable housing staff from the whole Cape meet. Barrett Planning organizes that, and quizzes us and brings new things to us, and we ask her questions, and so it's Alexis still, so. So that's going really well, and then we get 27 hours of affordable housing planning.
Annually?
If I could just add, Mr. Chairman, this has been an initiative of the county commissioners to create a regional supportive housing service. We had the pilot program, and that was so successful, and it was very helpful here in Yarmouth. So we decided to.
We used it for the muck.
Exactly. So
The commissioners who,
the
okay.
county commissioners that have been, that initiated this and pushed forward with this, since there are some limitations on the county budget, the amount of money that we get, we're not like a municipality where you can raise property taxes to cover your services. Our revenue stream is sort of tied to a deeds excise tax. If that pot of money grows, then we do okay. If that money stays flat, then it makes it very difficult to pay our bills and to deal with costs like, added insurance, energy, raises, cost of living adjustments, things like that. So we structured this as an intergovernmental agreement. And the county administrator asked all the town managers on the Cape to identify a point person to help us coordinate the services, to make sure that the shared services that the county would provide are the services that the individual towns want. And Mary has been incredibly helpful in advising this working group that works directly with the county administrator to sort of oversee the scope of the services, but also to make arrangements to bring on any contracting assistance for the services. So this has been a priority of the commissioners. It's been a huge priority of mine. I made it very, very clear that after the pilot project was successful and it was widely supported, that I pushed to continue it. And it's great to see this many these towns do this. My argument in pushing for it to continue it is that it's our municipalities that play a critical role in helping develop affordable housing, and our towns should get whatever technical support from the county that they need in evaluating programs and acting on programs, or in sharing information on creative ways to provide affordable housing. And obviously Judy Barrett, her firm, as you could see firsthand from working with them, they're wicked smart, they're very talented, and they're incredibly helpful. And the relationship that they have had with us has been very positive, very productive. Their help with Muck has been incredibly helpful. So yeah, we're gonna keep them on board and keep this thing going. And Mary's support for this initiative has been a very, very big help to us. So kudos to Mary.
Yeah.
Was Barrett the group that came to that Muck community meeting we
It
had?
was Barrett.
Were they the ones that presented their own ideas on housing in some of the discussions?
They did, but I think they got us there. You know, I think that they wanted to make sure that all options were considered. And right, I thought, oh, the scope is a little too wide, but we went back to where we're kind of comfortable, you know?
That's
And-
true,
And
I
then
think.
we said, well, we considered everything. So I thought they got us to a consensus place. Yeah.
No further comment?
No, that's the engineering company.
Okay.
You're talking about the
I
engineering
was at the
company.
table and had decided what was going to happen, and,
I think they were at one point out of sync.
yeah,
I think they're in sync right
okay.
now.
And they admitted that.
And they admitted that,
when
yeah.
we had-
So, and, I mean, we got the mass development grant, right?
Right.
So we won't be using those planning hours for muck, but if there's ever a need, we could. You know what I mean? We could. But
And how many hours did you say that was available for?
last year we had 30, this year we have 27. And typically, if there's like a little bit of an overage,
Okay.
Barrett Planning works with us to get the work done. So,
Mark,
Yes.
years ago, the Cape Cod Commission had a very active affordable housing group.
I know exactly what you're
And
talking
it
about.
kind of fell by the wayside, and I think when Paul Vashinskas left, they never really hired anybody, and nothing really happened for a long time. So I'm glad to see them back up and running and working on these important issues again.
This is not the Cape Cod Commission, Lee. This is the county.
The county,
This is.
okay,
The Cape Cod Commission has, in the statute creating the Cape Cod Commission Act, they have a housing responsibility. And their job is to provide some degree of direction and oversight to help towns pursue affordable housing. The person that you're referencing, Paul Rashinkas, was outstanding.
correct. I worked closely with Paul for years.
Exactly. He was wonderful. He provided enormous help to the towns.
Right.
I could say, I echo your comments completely. His predecessor was another gentleman named Ed Allard. I don't know if anybody ever remembered Ed, but Ed was there. He was our first affordable housing coordinator at the Cape Cod Commission. He was the one that came up with the idea of creating a home consortium. And at the time when we created it, I was working in the congressional office. This is during the Clinton administration. So I'm really dating myself now. But during the Clinton administration, we were able to get almost $1 million as a region in home consortium funding. That was all of Ed Allard's work. So that position, that role at the Cape Cod Commission has been incredibly important over the years.
Right.
But because they've had difficulty funding it and supporting it, we decided that the commissioners, we needed to have some kind of robust leadership in the affordable housing side. That's why we started this pilot project. We initially put ARPA funds. We had a $40 million allocation of ARPA funding. We put a small chunk of that to support this pilot project to see if it would take hold. It did. And now we found some other monies to keep it going on our end. So our funds combined with the modest amount of funding that each of the towns supporting, is helping keep this thing going. But I agree with you. The county at one time had an incredibly important, very creative.
And the Home Consortium is now under the care of the Barnstable County Department of Human Services.
Yes,
They oversee
exactly.
that.
And it's that department that is overseeing the regional shared housing services initiative. I think what we've seen in recent years is the Cape Cod Commission has been more involved in the regulatory oversight role as opposed to in developing housing. I think there's some concern that playing an active role in developing housing actually creates a bit of a conflict with their regulatory function. So they can do some planning, but the kind of hands-on aggressive role that they used to provide before is something they just don't do anymore for a variety of reasons.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Greg?
Questions?
I usually do, but I've got nothing.
Okay, Yarmouth Housing Authority.
We're meeting tomorrow at 5:15 for our December meeting. We didn't have a November meeting. There's been a glitch in getting the meeting properly posted, but the town clerk has fixed that glitch, I believe, and so I thank her for that, and the assistant town clerk. So that's tomorrow at 5:15, and go ahead.
Yeah, and so on the agenda, are
Yeah.
you going to be talking about formation of a subcommittee?
That is on the agenda, to try to form I don't know how it's worded on the agenda, but it is on the agenda, to establish some kind of liaison with the Select Board and the Housing Authority on a subcommittee or basis.
Okay.
You wanted him to hear that? And maybe
Yeah, I
you
wanted
didn't.
Mark to hear that. I know. So the Housing Authority is meeting tomorrow. They have an idea to form a subcommittee with representation from the town, non-quorum, a subcommittee,
Working group of
to review the RFP, to make sure that for Forest Road, to make sure that it addresses the key concerns that's been raised from the town. So we lost November, we're here in December.
set to
So
go.
the Housing Authority meets tomorrow. John Barr is the governor's appointee to the Housing Authority, and Drew is elected. So,
Congratulations.
Thank you, I think.
unfortunately, Mary Ann Walsh passed away. She was a member of the Housing Authority. She was on the
Community Preservation Committee for a
Community
long, long
Preservation
time.
Committee. She was, when I first started here 20 years ago, she was on this committee and taught me the basics about affordable housing. So, yeah,
Very good lady.
very good lady. So she'll be missed, but onward.
Let me see, where are we? Affordable Housing Trust.
Oh, gosh, the Affordable Housing Trust has an RFP out for a rental assistance program. 3 entities responded: Hetch, Howard Jacob Medical Council for Housing, HAC Housing Assistance Corporation, and I think it's Island Planning. I think that's what it's, yeah. So we have 3 proposals. The trust has 3 proposals to look at, so that's exciting. And other things, they had a presentation of a draft report from UMass Donahue Institute regarding short-term rentals. So we gave them our first round of comments. We're meeting with them later this week. Deirdre is in a small subcommittee about that. I'm on it. I have to check in with everybody to make sure everybody knows about it. I think Bob Lawton's on it, Kathy Williams is on it, Megan Eldridge, our new Director of Community Development, just to make sure that certain questions that were asked of them at that meeting with the trust, including a question by Mark, gets answered in the report, or if somehow, it's addressed how to answer that. So that should be exciting. I think,
Can I just add a
Yeah.
couple of comments? This has been another priority of mine. It's important that we understand what we have here in terms of the short-term rental market. And it's important that we have some people that can help us understand it, also help us understand to what degree it might complicate our lives with respect to affordable housing.
Yeah.
Affordable housing. Oftentimes much of what we get these days is speculation, right? People guessing and assuming, trying to make some sense out of it all. And I think that it's far better to get some data and get some information and to begin probing this area than just sort of guessing at it. And I think the consultants have helped us. We still have more work to do on this, because I'm not convinced we've gotten an answer to our questions. Or at least I'd like to see something a bit more definitive. And I'd also like to see whether or not, as we learn more about this short-term rental market, are there things that we should be doing from a regulatory side to deal with any of the downsides or negatives, if there are any? And I think there are some, and I think we need to have a broader conversation in the community about where we encourage short-term rental housing and some areas where it's created some real problems. But it has not been nearly as serious in our community as it has been in other communities. In some communities, you can do short-term rentals almost everywhere, and they're done everywhere, and that's created some real friction in some communities. And as you may know, we also get some revenues. There's some tax revenues that we utilize to finance wastewater. There have been questions that, since we're going to need more money for financing wastewater, how sensitive is that market to any increases in taxation, right? Maybe it's in our interest to support legislation to allow that tax to go up so that we can do more in terms of financing wastewater. And as we all know, if we finance more wastewater, then we can do more housing, and we can do other things as well.
I'm so against raising taxes, but not there. I think that's a great
See,
idea.
yeah, I think I think our success in Yarmouth for doing wastewater has been predicated on our commitment to find other means to finance it before we go to property taxes. But here's the deal. We've taken all the low-hanging fruit on wastewater, all right, or all the money we've done a very good job of tackling a number of revenue streams to provide a fund to pay for the bonds and the interest. To do the next phases, we're gonna have to come up with some more creative ideas in terms of how to do it. I think the select board, again, it's not my place to speak on behalf of the board, but I think there's generally been a tendency to stay away from that and to continue to find other ways to creatively finance it. It may very well be this becomes a source of revenue that we just have to put on the table. And at the State House and with the governor, they're interested, and we've had meetings with the lieutenant governor on this topic, and she encourages communities to be creative in coming up with local revenue sources that can be put on the ballot here, or us coming up with ideas, because they're not gonna give us more money, grant money or funding money for wastewater. The main sources of funding that we get are pretty much set. There's no new program coming down the road, although I will say that we did successfully lobby the administration to put in a bond bill, an environmental bond bill, a half a billion dollars in dedicated wastewater money for Cape Cod. Now, the language doesn't say Cape Cod, but the language is written in a way where it can only come here. So we're engaged in some creative legislative drafting. But the point is the short-term rental study will help us figure out where we can go, or how far we can go with that. That's my hope.
Do we know who the owners of these short-term rentals, are they from out of state?
The study looks at local ownership and corporate ownership. I'm not sure we've identified geography yet, but I think the idea is, I think there is a concern in some communities where they're seeing a huge growth in corporations.
That's what, yeah, that seems very bad to me.
To the extent that they were able to identify, they said there is not much in Yarmouth.
That's
But
good.
it certainly demands more.
Well, there's one right next door to my house.
Pardon me?
She's the data queen over here.
yeah, she
So,
is.
yeah.
I'll ask you about it then.
You'll know all those questions.
Okay.
But there's a lot
Thank
that we
you.
don't know yet.
That's why Deirdre's on the working group.
Right. Thank you for
She picks up
cluing
on
me
those
in.
things.
What's the end date on the study?
Oh, so we're, staff is, and some committee members are meeting with UMass, I think it's Thursday? I think it's this Thursday. I think that we need to figure out the questions and the comments that have been given so far. Is it in the scope of the work? Do we need to increase the scope or go forward? And then hopefully, it'll be released with a formal presentation to the select board in the first quarter of 2026. That's what I'd like to do, because we can start using it, because there's something that sunsets in the local zoning about short-term rentals.
The existing rule, which, basically it's fairly limited, but just, you can't rent for less than 2 days and a few small things, sunsets at the end of 26, is it, Mark?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
November 2026. So you'd be looking to October your fall town meeting to adjust that. Otherwise, I don't think short-term rentals are allowed anymore in Yarmouth. So we need this,
Or the reverse, that there are no.
there's no rules.
Right. Right. What you want to be able to do is address the absence of the expiration in the fall. And this information can be useful in terms of informing ourselves.
Yeah.
What other things might we
Okay.
need to address?
What I mean, like, we need
Now
to get that report finalized so the planning department and the planning board can go forward in making a decision
I
with
see.
this zoning bylaw that sunsets in November 2026.
And there's nothing wrong with having a report that says you don't have a serious problem there. That's the other thing. Sometimes it's helpful to know if there's a perception, but you don't have a handle on it. If at the end of the day, we find out that the short-term rental market is not as large as some might think, it's not having an adverse impact in terms of our ability to, create more affordable year-round housing, that's all good information to have. On the other hand, there may be ways we want to create incentives in the short-term rental market that tie directly to affordable housing. And we may be able to benefit from some added consulting guidance to figure out ways or some approaches that are successful elsewhere that could be applied here.
Are you aware of any of those now?
No, but the consultants that we work with, since they're looking at this, they're pretty familiar. So my sense is that that's probably the direction we're gonna go in, is that once we get done with this report, we'll provide some guidance to the planning board and the planning staff, and then we'll probably start looking at some approaches that we can take to incentivize some of these rental units to be put in an affordable component or program. So that'll become, I think right now what I like about what's going on with your committee, the Affordable Housing Trust, the Planning Board, and everybody, is we're all thinking about the same thing, and we all seem to be genuinely interested in trying to be creative and work within some of the parameters that have been expressed by our residents. So I'm always sending Mary ideas that I pick up from other places. The New York Times has this section in their regular edition on states and creative approaches to solving problems. Like 50 states, 50 ideas, or something like that. And there's always something interesting. There's always successful approaches that other communities, other states are using. And some are good ideas. And so I keep sending Mary clips in the middle of the night when I'm catching up on my email.
I'm gonna forward that one to you guys. And using all tools in the toolbox. I think early on in our affordable housing program, we decided to use all tools in the toolbox because it wasn't like this glaring solution, you know what I mean? And what we have found is some things don't work, you know? We had a loan program, a construction loan program for ADUs. It didn't work out, you know what I mean? But this rental assistance program really prevents homelessness in Yarmouth. Sometimes somebody just needs help with 1 or 2 months' rent, or their first and last, and it's preventing homelessness here at the perfect level for Yarmouth, you know? So,
And rental assistance was pioneered in another town on the Cape, and then eventually we picked up on it. Bob Murray, who was the Housing Authority Director in Falmouth. Bob Murray was
Murray,
incredible.
and he started HETCH, Howard Medical Council for Housing,
Yep.
which now is one of the 2 entities running the rental assistance program, so,
Yeah, and the other tool that we have in the toolbox is a home improvement program.
Yeah.
That we've really started to capitalize on. I think that's another,
Yeah.
again, no silver bullet, but to make it easier for people to live in their homes and.
stay in their homes, yeah.
Stay in their homes, when, you know, there's a leaky roof.
Right.
or, You know, you need
Yes.
maybe a ramp or something, you know, to make it work for them. I think that's a program that I'm very excited about as well.
Yeah, I think we're at about 50 houses.
Wow, that seems
That's
substantial
significant.
to me.
You know, these are people who really cannot get any other type of financial support. Boom, their roof is done, their windows are done, their siding is done,
Do
their
they-
heating
How many
system
hoops
is
do they
done.
have to jump through? Not that many? or-
Not that many.
Yeah.
No, Hatch administers
Which
that.
is good, isn't it?
Yeah, House Medical
Right.
Council for
Is
Housing.
there a
they-
maximum on,
Right now, it's $50,000 per house. It used to be 25,000, and some of those houses that were kept at 25,000 are like, well, we never really had money to do the roof, and they're coming back and we're expanding it to
These are
50,000.
loans.
Their loans, they don't expire, well, the ones that we make now. The first round, they expired in 15 years. So if you didn't sell or transfer your house or go to a reverse mortgage in that first 15 years, we discharged it, right? Now it's forever. Whenever you sell it, whenever you transfer it, you give us back the money. It goes back to the Community Preservation Committee, and,
They're not paying this back on a monthly basis.
no, it's,
When they sell the house,
Yeah.
they owe, it's like a lien, they owe
and
the
it's
town.
0% interest, they call it a silent
Okay.
mortgage.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
it's a
great.
silent mortgage. Well, who wants to calculate the interest? It just
what's the
doesn't.
what, Mary?
Calculate the interest, deal with
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
monthly payments. This is the easiest way to make a community loan. And we're done. Developers, we charge interest. But local homeowners, it is their money, right? It is their, so it's been working out great. And once in a while, you'll see something in your neighborhood. You might go, gee, I didn't know they had money to do new windows and siding and a roof. And you never know, it might be this town that helped them out with that.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to qualify, you have to be.
You have to qualify, you have to be low, moderate income, you have to pay your taxes, you have to pay your water bill, you have to have health and house insurance. There's all these things you have
So
to
there is a
have.
vetting process that they go through.
There's a vetting process, yep. And Hetch takes it very seriously, very, very seriously.
They have to, otherwise it wouldn't be a successful program,
Right.
right?
So, and sometimes it's a neighbor that comes
Right.
and says, oh, you know, we help these people out, but we can't really do the roof. Do you have anything to, and then that whole thing just kind of builds on itself and, you know.
Right, so this is a tool that we have made funds available with the Affordable Housing Trust. And it's one of the reasons why I like being on the Affordable Housing Trust, is that we can be as incredibly creative
Yep,
in terms of setting up these programs and setting up these tools.
yep.
I was wondering whether, has anybody else heard the problem with insurance companies not wanting to insure your home if you have 20-plus years of roof shingle, even though you may have bought 30-year shingles?
No, I
No.
haven't heard
Yeah.
that.
They're
Absolutely,
withdrawing.
yes.
Happened
Is
to
that
you?
Myra?
Yeah, we just had to, this past January, put on a new roof because otherwise we weren't gonna get our insurance renewed. So, yeah, well, we were planning on it, you know, and the schedule got accelerated.
How old was your roof, Myra?
I would say probably at least 20 years. I mean, it was in good condition, but it was older, so.
So that may force some people to inquire about the program.
Correct.
Yep.
Good to know.
Yeah, good. Planning board.
The most recent meeting, we had a very nice presentation from the library building group, and another discussion about muck, and a long discussion about the short-term rental draft report that we are all looking at now. And there was quite a lot of interest in the planning board and a recognition that it will be coming back to the planning board next year, and that decisions will have to be made and approved, and it's going to be the whole process, like we've recently been through on the zoning amendments, which we were very happy that the special town meeting sort of ended our work on the comprehensive plan and the 2 zoning amendments. And so those are the major things going on in the planning board.
Never stops, though.
No.
Community Preservation Committee?
We're meeting on the 19th, and we'll hear the presentation from the Yarmouth Library, who is requesting funding. They're the last group we haven't heard from yet. And we're planning a town public hearing somewhere in January. Don't ask me the date, I don't have it in front of me, but it will all be publicized. And we voted as we went along with a number of the projects that will go to the town meeting in whatever it is. When is it? In the April? Is it April? Town
April,
meeting.
yes.
Yes.
And I usually, we decide how we're gonna do this, and I usually do the affordable housing issues. And we were talking about Hetch, right? No.
Hands of
no,
Hope.
Hands of Hope, who applies for funding to help people from becoming homeless and for deposits for rentals and so forth. And the committee talked them into increasing the amount, because they might not be able to help more people, but they can more efficiently help the people that apply. And if they can help more people, that's all good. So, and they help a couple of other towns, but this funding is specifically for residents of Yarmouth. So that's a good thing. So that's all I can remember, because I'm not terribly organized nowadays. But it's going good.
Yep, so Hands of Hope,
Hands of Hope,
I got recommended for rental assistance program.
right?
It's kind of funny, like the trust helps Hetch with the rental assistance program, and CPC helps Hands of Hope. It's just like, depending on everybody's schedule and response time to these grant opportunities. And then the last year, the trust funded the home repair program, but it looks like this year, Community Preservation Committee will. So that's why I end up doing all the contracts, to keep track of everything. And then the CPC voted to recommend to town meeting $200,000 to the trust for general deposit.
With all that.
And there's $1.7 million that the trust received from town meeting for buy-down assistance. That's been going awfully slow, right? The market is just too high. We might be able to do more with that for mixed-use redevelopment on Route 28. So they've voted to recommend town meeting add to the uses for that $1.7 million redevelopment, mixed-use redevelopment on Route 28. So that will be going to town meeting too.
There was one other project. There were 4 affordable housing projects,
Right, general deposit to the trust,
right?
buy down reprogramming for the trust. Hetch
Right?
got recommendation for home ownership repair, and Hands of Hope rental assistance. So that's your 4.
Thank you.
Yeah, and so we're gonna have, right, so the public hearing is gonna be in January. I'll make sure you know the date as soon as possible. On the table, if you didn't pick it up, is the draft community preservation plan. Pick it up, make comments, get them back to Dawn Marie Flett in Community Development, Department of Community Development. This is a pretty good plan. Not perfect. It could, you know, it's good. It's good.
So in my defense of being inefficient, I've been running back and forth to Saugus to help a sister who's, not doing so well. And that's been taking a lot of my energy. So that's my
I
defending.
know you missed,
First of
Lee
all, I came
missed
back from a trip
the
and I was.
meeting when the affordable housing applications were in front of the CPC, but I was there.
Yeah, I did miss. I came back from a trip and I was sick for weeks. And then I've been going back and forth up to Saugus, so
How good of
it's
you.
been a lot of fun.
Community development.
Yep, no big news, except these are all the projects we're working on, and programs and initiatives, so, we're busy.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is there might be, an expansion of the economic development program out of that department, so that's exciting. And that will go right in line with, this potential being opened up by the sewering of the town for reasonable but substantial economic growth, so.
Okay. Upcoming meetings, January 12th at 3 o'clock here.
Yep.
And anybody have anything else? Can we get a motion to adjourn?
I move we adjourn.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Roll call vote. Pam?
Aye.
Myra?
Aye.
Greg?
I,
Drew?
Aye.
John? Aye. Deirdre?
Aye.
Lee? Okay.
All right.